Welcome to the Single Moms United podcast. Ladies, thank you so much for joining today. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Today I want to talk about a communication footprint. When you think about communication, it's all about sharing information related to a specific topic. When you think about footprint, it's defined as leaving an impression. When combining communication and footprint, what you get is a communication impression or knowledge impression. As I mentioned before, as single parents, we have to do a better job educating our children and preparing them for life. And it all links back to communication. You know, life offers so many challenges and obstacles. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. You've probably already experienced quite a few as a single parent. And even if you weren't a single parent, that's just a reality of life. If you think about the track and field sport, the runner has to prepare to jump those hurdles, because if they didn't prepare or train for that, how far do you think he or she would have gotten when they came to that first hurdle? You guessed it, they would have failed. They wouldn't have been able to jump it. They would have been looking like Boo Boo the Fool. And why? Because they didn't prepare. But when they adequately train for this particular sport, they go out, they measure the height of the hurdle, the distances between the hurdles. This lets them know exactly what they need to focus on. And then they practice those jumps and those leaps. Now think about it. If we look at the hurdles in the track and field sport, that's just like life's challenges. We would like life to be smooth and with ease. The fact is, it's not. It's not. And that's okay. That's a part of life. We wouldn't want that, right? Because we would never grow if life was just easy and we could just skate right through. Where's the fun in that? So I always look at a good challenge as a growth opportunity. And that's the way you can look at it as well. That will help deter you from getting discouraged and depressed. Okay, this happened. That's okay. It's a challenge and I'm going to overcome this. Just like single parenting. It's a challenge, but we're going to get through this. This episode today is designed to help with creating this communication footprint. You know, I didn't do a good job communicating with my kids. I was always reactive to modify behavior that they displayed versus being proactive and educating them. Here's some things you're going to experience, and this is how you handle it. I developed a daily communication footprint for this episode for us to have conversations with our children. This is my own interpretation, ladies, of how I would have presented it to my kids had I known better back then. So this is not a one size fits all. It's a one size that fits most, and you can take it and modify it however you please, as long as you start having those communications with your kids, because that's what this episode is designed for, to help you facilitate those discussions, okay? The methodology takes learning to another level from just teaching the basics of right and wrong behaviors. Utilizing this communication methodology can help drive better communication with the children and encourage long-term success, meaning taking this into adulthood. This is designed to help plant these seeds of thinking about things as they go through life's journey. So the communication footprint is easy as it aligns to the days of the week to help remember better. So let's start off with Motivation Monday. It's the beginning of the week. No better time to motivate and encourage, especially since we have no idea what will happen during the week. And yes, again, while we want everything to be smooth sailing, it doesn't always work out that way. So why not get prepared? Start off with a motivation Monday of either setting your artificial intelligence to send reminders on Monday, or maybe you want to do it Sunday night because I know Mondays are a little hectic with school and work and things happening. So you might want to do it Sunday evening to start off Monday with getting that motivational message. And then you can also ask your children maybe to research, big, nice little homework to give them to say, hey, little Johnny, today will be your week to provide the motivational or encouraging word for everybody, a family, and then rotate that out each week. How cool would that be, right? Getting them in the habit, establishing this behavior that they can start embedding in themselves. And so when those hurdles do arise or those challenges do arise, they'll always have something embedded in them to encourage them to keep going, keep moving. And again, I would suggest you use your artificial intelligence, even social media. On Facebook, they have motivational messages and groups and so forth. And you might want to join that. There's some good stuff out there. So definitely take that to start your week off and embed that into your life's plan, because it's very much needed given everything that's going on in today's world with all the negativity and the violence and so forth. Definitely incorporate Motivation Monday. And it doesn't have to be just Monday, it's just to start the process to get the wheels turning. And so, long term, we should be motivating ourselves every day because we're going to need it. That's just how life is today. Next is Teachable Tuesday. It's about learning something new. I recommend starting with technology because it's rapidly changing. I mean, every day. I have a phone and it does weekly updates. And that's how often that they incorporate. But in reality, it's changing daily. And if I don't run one of my smart TVs often, guess what? It locks up and I have to reboot or restart it because there's been a technology change that they recently added that I need to go back and make sure that my TV is rested and ready for the change. So I would recommend you can start with your phone, or if you have a smart TV, you could start there. But I would say start with your phone. Me, myself, I know I am not using all the features that are available to me with my smartphone. I think I'm probably maybe using 50% of them, and that's still probably high. It might even be 25% of them. Generally, I'm just checking email, social media, making a call, and texting. But I am sure there's many, many, many more features that I could take advantage of that I am not. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make that my own personal homework to really learn more about my phone. There's probably other features on there, especially as I'm getting older, that could probably help me in the latter stage of life. So that'll be my homework. Let's move on to Wisdom Wednesday. Wisdom is about what you've learned in life and sharing that wisdom with your children. Some of the decisions you've made and the outcome of those decisions. Explain the learning experience, and is this something they can implement into their lives? When I think about Wisdom Wednesday, it goes back to an earlier podcast entitled Decisions, Decisions, Decisions. I wish I would have asked more questions to make better decisions. I needed to cut the cake and see what flavor it is versus assuming because it has chocolate icing, it was a vanilla cake. Maybe it was chocolate on the inside. So we have to learn to ask more questions. And you can share this with your children so that as they proceed down life's journey, know questions to ask. Don't just ask one question, ask a follow up question. And again, artificial intelligence is available out here now to teach us how to ask follow up questions. So that could be Wisdom Wednesday for you. And then your children can be better prepared as they make decisions as they leave your home in a few years and get out on their own. And now you'll feel more comfortable because you've planted that seed for them to be successful as they enter into adulthood and develop their own independence. And long term, ladies, that's what we want, right? We don't want our kids to be with us at 35. Okay, that's just me and my out loud boys. You would want your kids to be out on their own, experiencing life because you're not going to be here always. And they have to learn to navigate through life. And that's our job as parents is to teach them how to navigate and be there to support them as they make these decisions because some of you are going to become grandparents, right? As a result of that, they may look to you to watch little Johnny or little Susie. It's okay, right? Because as single parents, that's what we did to our parents, right? We made them grandparents if they are weren't already. So, and that's okay. There's going to be those challenges there, and I thank God for my mom. She was there to support me as I raised my kids. Had she not been there, I really don't know what the outcome would have been. And I say that as far as where my kids would have ended up and the values that they learned from her and the teachings that she provided. I'm not sure what would have happened because I was a young single mom. Now, let's move on to Thankful Thursday. This is a big one. And if you're a Christian like I am, you'll say, well, every day is a day of Thanksgiving. Or we can say we don't have to wait till the fourth Thursday in November to be thankful, right? We should incorporate Thankful Thursday often, but we'll start with Thursday because they link together. This is how we educate our children to learn to be thankful. This is critical, ladies. This is critical. Why is it critical? They don't know the struggles we go through, the sacrifices we have to make to ensure that they have what they need. And if you're not going through that, well, that's awesome. But speaking for myself, let me tell you, there were a lot of sacrifices that my kids did not know about, and they didn't need to know. They didn't need to know. They needed to be kids, and the issue was mine. I chose not to share with them some of the struggles I was going through. However, it's good for them to be able to just thank you for clothes and food and things like that. They assume everything that they have was just, oh, okay, mom got it, no issues, so forth, and life is good. And that's not always the case. At least it wasn't for me. And then if they don't react after you share with them about Thankful Thursday, this will be a bit of a shock to them if you went to the St. Jude's website. And that's where children, unfortunately, are suffering from, a physical illness and primarily cancer. Just let them see what these children are going through and that they don't have the ability to go out and play and the sacrifices their parents have to make as a result of them having to get these cancer treatments. And if your child is healthy and you're not in the hospital, that alone should emanate a response of thank you. I remember when my kids were younger, my stepfather taught them to thank me. And ladies, it feels so good when I would purchase clothes or buy food. Their response was, thanks, mom. Thanks, mom. That was awesome. I'm telling you, it is the greatest feeling because, again, I didn't reveal to them what I was going through, but clearly my stepfather did, although I didn't reveal it to him. But he knew the struggles of me being a single mom. And so for him to incorporate and teach that with them, I sincerely thank him for that. May he rest in peace. But able to share with my kids to thank me for, being able to feed them and clothe them. So that was just awesome. So incorporating Thankful Thursday, this will take this, they will take this into adulthood and pass it along to their children. And believe it or not, ladies, look what you just started is a new generational positive footprint of paying it forward. When we teach them about Thankful Thursday, ultimately it will turn into being thankful daily. And that's what we want. That's a trait that has to be incorporated in their lives because now you're not going through life thinking you owe me this or you owe me that. Learn to be thankful. Even that job you have, you may not like it or they may not like it. I'm thankful for it because it's getting the bills paid. I may not like my coworkers, but it's getting the bills paid. So I'm going to focus on the positive versus the negative. Next, we're going to talk about Forgiving Friday. It's all about forgiveness. And this one is a hard pill to swallow. It's like taking a pill without water when you're trying to forgive someone. It's extremely hard to forgive someone who has severely hurt you emotionally. Introducing forgiveness early in life is the water to help making swallowing that pill easier. This is a critical footprint as well, or a critical trait that must be introduced to our children early, early, because they are going to get hurt. Unfortunately, this is reality. They're going to get hurt. Their trust is going to be broken. Not everyone will like them. And unfortunately, they're going to be bullied along life's journey. And until they learn the forgiveness footprint, it's going to hinder their emotional growth. And not just them. You, as a single mom, you've gone through it. You've already know. So it's time to let go so that you can grow emotionally and let that be behind you. It's your starting point. Once we introduce it to our children, this is so critical. If you don't learn how to forgive, it's going to really weigh on you significantly throughout life. The forgiveness could potentially start with their dad. If he isn't active in their lives, it has to leave them wondering why and what did they do to deserve that treatment. And I hear you ladies saying he is a deadbeat and the kids have a right to be angry. No, the relationship was between the two of you, not the kids. The kids are a product of the relationship or the interaction you had with their father. They're a neutral party. We should never invite our children to take sides, ever, ever. This is between you and the father, you and the dad. That's between, you shouldn't incorporate or bring your children into that. Please give them a chance to formulate their own opinion of him. If they are able to develop a relationship, then they should ensure they practice forgiveness. We can't force children's emotions based upon the relationship the two of you had. Once my kids became of age, it was their decision if they wanted to have a relationship with their father. One thing I never did was talk negative about him, no matter what I thought. I just never came and said, "Oh, he's awful. He's this, he's that." I never did that. Matter of fact, I didn't talk about him at all. How about that? And that was my way of getting around it. I just didn't talk about him at all. So long term, as they enter as our children enter into adulthood, you've already set that foundation of learning how to forgive. They need it, they have to have it. And if we introduce it now, get in the habit of doing this on a regular basis, you start out with this footprint. And not only in that the father situation was just one example, but they may have some discouragement with you, especially as they get older. They still need to learn how to forgive us because we've made some decisions and not the right decisions all the way, all the time. And they think some kind of way against us, right? And so they need to forgive us as well when we behave badly or display behavior that they think is bad. Let's move on to Silly Saturday. So I was pretty serious about Thankful Thursday and Forgiving Friday. And now comes Silly Saturday. We've gone through the week. We learned some things. We've gotten motivated on Monday. And now it's just time to relax and have fun. As I mentioned in a prior episode of this podcast, it's okay to be silly. It's okay to watch a comedy movie or go out and enjoy the weather and just do something fun. We have to incorporate this because life is so serious. There's so much violence that continues to happen, and our kids get nervous. They don't share that with us, but the reality is they get nervous. And if we don't blend in some silly and fun in our lives, we will get overly stressed and depressed. And remember, our children should be our priority. Incorporating these footprints allows our children to take this into the future. Preparing our children is going to make life a little easier. Again, going back to training and preparing for that huddle, right? When we proactively have these conversations with them. Now, these things are going to happen, but this is how you deal with it. Yes, there's going to be heartache, but this is how you deal with it. And it's going to allow them to better accept it in their life. And then finally, Sanctified Sunday. Again, I'm a Christian all day, every day, and I was brought up in the church, and so I did the same with my children. I always took them to church. We never missed a Sunday, and even other activities that were going on in the church, we pretty much were there. If you're not a Christian and you're of another faith, I would still encourage you to get your children involved in that. For me, and what church did for me is not only was it teaching them about Jesus Christ, but it was also incorporating the support for the balance of values and morals, teaching them how to be respectful and to say, excuse me, thank you, and all of these things that are necessary for you to be respected. Everyone should be respected. And so, taking my children to church, again, this provided that support. I was teaching them at home so they hear it a second time and then incorporating that balancing values and morals. It's going to go a long way. It helps define who they are with their own characteristics. And again, this is going to allow them to pay it forward. So when they have their children, they can get on the bandwagon and teach them about respect and what it means to be respected. As I finish today's episode, I really wish I would have had a communication footprint when I was raising my children. I mean, I really do. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, it was all about being reactive to my children's behavior. Nothing was ever proactive other than taking them to church and teaching them about life. So I guess that pretty much was my outlet to make sure that they learn the values and morals of being proactive, but that still really should have come from me. Although I took them to church and they learned there, but I should have owned that communication plan. And so that's what this podcast is all about, ladies. That's what this episode is all about. You taking ownership of your child's direction in life. And even if you weren't taught these footprints, as I wasn't, right? It's okay. It's okay. As long as we're moving forward and we're adopting it and incorporating it in our children's lives. I'm hoping I was able to develop this foundation for you to begin your own communication footprint. This format, hopefully you can take it and twist it around. And I shouldn't say twist, but modify it. It aligns to your home and to your children and giving you that foundation so that you can move forward, your children can move forward, and everyone has a better place and be prepared to jump life's hurdles or life's challenges. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Communication Footprint. Continue to look for me out on the various apps. And I really appreciate you taking the time to download this podcast. Take care and have a fabulous week.